Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. It's Thursday, June 13th, 2019. And I want to talk to you about our courts. They are overwhelmingly conservative, at least in red states. And what they're doing is simply bullying people they don't like, people who they don't like what they say and what they think. They're bullying people who don't like, who criticize them for protecting themselves. You know, they protect themselves and the group they're part of, which is run by the rich. And the courts, like here in Kentucky. Okay, here in Kentucky, the courts are basically just a bunch of bullying conservatives who are out there constantly looking for anybody who is on the other side or is poor. Because if you're poor, you automatically don't like the rich, right? I mean, pretty much. Unless you're totally ignorant, which too many of them are, right? Too many people, people who spend time in jail, they're conservatives. They have no other point of view. They can't get any other. They can't get the truth about what's going on. I mean, yeah, sometimes they will figure out what's going on simply because they get to read some particular book by some activist somewhere, and forever changed right after that. So what I'm saying is the courts are entirely fucked up. Instead of running on rules that are impartial and unbiased, they will completely ignore basic things like impartiality. They'll completely ignore that. Okay, let's take my case, right? In my case, the judge completely ignored the fact that he should have recused himself. He's completely conservative. He thinks that there's all kinds of people just mooching off the system and all that, and therefore people like me who are on food stamps don't deserve them. Well, I worked harder than anybody like him ever thought of working. And come 52 years old and my back goes out and my knees go out and everything, and I have to retire, all of a sudden, no, we don't have anything for you. The fact that you didn't have a job that paid you enough to where you could, they all have a retirement plan. It's called $1 million in the bank. You know what I mean? That's how they do it. And they pretend like they earned it, Doing what? Did your fingers ever bleed? Did you ever work 16 hours in a day and go to sleep and get up in the morning and go back to work? Have to go to sleep because you were so tired when you got home, didn't even take a shower, just lay down and pass out. And do that for 22, 23 years? Huh? You ever do that? No, you motherfuckers. And then you don't give a shit about taking away somebody's food stamps. I mean, you talk about it. You can't do it. And people like me are more against moochers than you are. We don't want people mooching off of, because it hurts. That would hurt people who need it. So anyway, in my case, the judge ignored the rule of what do you call it? Doubt. You're supposed to find the person guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt. So in my case, they didn't do that. See, they said that I was talking to them when I said what I said. When I know that I was talking to my car cam, I was doing just what I'm doing right now. I was talking to a recording, making a recording. Now in this case, well, in that case too, I intended to make it into a recording about how the food stamp people piss people off. And in my opinion, they piss people off so bad that sooner or later somebody's going to come in there and shoot one of them or blow one of them up. Now, I've come to find out that lots of people have done that. Lots of people have gone into the food stamp places and killed people and shot it up. Because the guy who filed charges against me on behalf of the food stamp people, the guy in charge of security, he said on the witness stand that the reason he was hired was because some guy killed somebody in the food stamp. Killed one of the interviewers. So, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. I was just doing a piece about it. Well, I'm the only one who knows who I was talking to. Not them. So, of course there's a shadow of a doubt. They want to say, well, it sounds like you were talking to the girl on the phone. Well, she had put me on hold. Phone was black. It was dead. I was just driving down the street. I had my car cam. I was talking to my car cam. And you know what? Everybody else, the whole fucking world, I don't give a shit, can come up with an opinion. But the fact is I'm the only one who knows. So, right there, the judge didn't apply the law. The law is that the evidence has to stand up to reasonable doubt, right? So, and I'm the only one who knows. I mean, I have the video. When you threaten somebody's food, you really fuck with them mentally, and they're gonna get pissed off. Okay, right there, I'm clearly... So I have the video, of me talking to my car cam, and the fact that I have the video of the car cam video proves right there, to me, I think it proves that I was talking to my car cam. And they admit that they put me on hold, and that was about 4 minutes earlier. If I wanted to say something to them, I would have gotten them on the phone at least. I would have said, hello, are you there? So anyway, so all I'm trying to say is that these judges, and I don't care whether they're biased liberals or biased progressives like me, I'm a progressive, or biased, doesn't matter. If you're biased, you're biased. If you're breaking the laws, if you're ruining the justice system with your bias, then you need to recuse yourself. Matter of fact, you need to get out of the business of being a judge. Because this case should have been thrown out immediately. Now, I hate to agree with Donald Trump, but listen to this.
Happened. He said, well, we disagree with that ruling. It's crazy. Because you look at it, this never happened to any other president. They're trying to get a redo. They're trying to get what we used to call in school a deal, a do-over. We say that outside of school, too. It's not a thing where you have to go back to your childhood in school. It's just a thing that's said. You can just say it. But anyway, so look, you have a judge who is saying they have every constitutional rationale, reason.
Okay, so Donald Trump is upset, right? Because he says he can't get justice out of this judge, right? Now, in his case, I don't know. I mean, he may just be, he probably is just bullshitting his way out of trying to bullshit his way out of trouble. That's what he's done all his life anyway. Either that or paid his way out of trouble with other people's money. He's a scam artist, you know? And you motherfuckers voted for him. Amazing. Anyway, my point is that he's right about the justice system. It is totally biased. It convicts people, and regardless of the law, the justice system, the judges in it, the one that I had, just completely ignores the facts. See, in my case, the fact is that even if you want to say I was talking to her, let's say that she never put me on hold and I was actually speaking to her and I said everything that I said. Okay, I said that they make me so mad that they make me want to kill people, you know, want to come in there and shoot somebody or blow somebody up. I said that I'd love to kill one of them. Just like that. Okay? But then when you look at the context of what I was saying I was trying to describe how they make people feel, not me. I went to me as an example because I didn't want to have to do some of the other examples. Now, I could have done the other examples. I could have talked about how that day when I was in the food stamp place, I talked to a guy, and he was telling me that he was on the phone with them, and they kept running him around in circles over this dependent thing. Okay, is she your dependent, and da-da-da-da-da. And they said, well, we can't okay you for food stamps. And he said, well, I might as well just shoot myself in the head, right? And that's just a saying, you know. I mean, people will say that like you're wasting my time so bad and you're being such a pain in the ass, I might as well just shoot myself. So this person on the phone called the police and told them that he threatened to commit suicide. So they come knocking at his door, and this is just what he told me. I forget who he was. He told me his name. I think it was Paul or something. And you know, we just got into a conversation. It was on the same day that I went down there, that day. And he says, he said I should have never let them in the door. I should have never let them into the house. And so they came in and they said, is that alcohol? And he said, yeah. I'm in my own house. I'm having a drink. You got a problem with that? And so they arrest him, right? And they take him downtown. And I don't know if he was just stupid enough to do it, but they got him to take a alcohol test, and they also charged him with public intoxication. And you know, the fact that they took him out of his house, I mean, he's not in public until he's outside of his house, right? And then they're going to charge him with public intoxication because he's publicly intoxicated because they took him out of his house. I mean, just the insanity. I mean, doesn't it make you want to kill somebody? I mean, admit it. And you know, when I talk about wanting to kill somebody or feeling like killing somebody or how I'd love to kill somebody, all I'm talking about is the same thing anybody else would talk about. Like, well, in this case, what I was trying to describe is how actually beyond that. Okay, there's two different things going on here. I mean, you got the one thing where, yeah, you say, oh, you know, I'd just like to strangle you. In fact, the judge, when I was there for my arraignment, told a lady who was ahead of me, I'm going to turn your son over to you, but you better keep him out of trouble. And she said to him, well, he better stay out of trouble or I'm going to kill him. Okay? The judge didn't do anything to her, and yet he turned around and told me I was being prosecuted, and he was the guy who arranged the whole thing. So he okayed it and said I'm going to be prosecuted. And I ended up being convicted and thrown in jail for 3 months. Okay, so he didn't do anything about the lady right in front of me who did exactly what he was prosecuting me for. So obviously, people just saying, oh, you make me want to strangle you or something. Even though it's the exact same thing I was convicted of. Nobody seems to care about that. Especially when you're agreeing with them or it's in a positive light to them, But what I was doing in my recording was I was discussing how angry people get. And I was trying to describe, because we all know that this happens. I mean, I'll get so pissed off at somebody, and it's almost instantaneous. It's like within seconds, you're thinking about, well, what could I do? Could I ambush them? And don't tell me people don't think about it, because people actually do it. And the fact is that's the way our brains work. They go through all the possibilities. Fortunately, people like me, even though our brain runs through all the possible, I mean, you can think of a million things, right? You can pull every vigilante scene you've ever seen in a movie out almost immediately. But the sane person, as opposed to the person who actually goes and does these things, recognizes the fact that those thoughts go through their head, something they have no control over, and they do something about it. They have a defense mechanism. They say, no, you don't want to become that person, right? I mean, that's my main reason, is I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to become a person. You imagine yourself hiding out in a parking lot and waiting for the person to come out and go to their car and suddenly get out and run over and bang, 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 just gun them down. And then you have to think of how am I going to get away and all this stuff. And even if those thoughts do run through your head from time to time, or whatever crazy thoughts you get, they're just your brain thinking out all the possibilities. I mean, my brain does. Maybe other people aren't that intelligent, but my brain runs through all these stupid possibilities. And I wouldn't say they're so stupid, but they're certainly impractical. I mean, do you really want to become that person? Do you want to become a person who shot? I mean, I don't even want to shoot bad people. I don't want to become that person. I don't want to be that person. I've never been that person. I don't want to become that person. Because it seems like a very dark road, right, that you'll be on. Seems to me like you'll be forever, like, cursed or something. And that's just one of those mental feelings that I have that is very strong. Because when I'm right about things, I do get a strong feeling. And I do get a strong feeling when I imagine myself getting revenge. Revenge is a very dark place. I mean, I don't care if it is justice. See, because that's really the crux of the whole problem, isn't it? Is we're living in this unjust world created by conservatives, created by greed and avarice and all those things. And people want to change that. They want to make it a world where you're not living in an unjust, unfair world. The people out there who say, oh, well, life is unfair. Well, shut the fuck up. That's not the point, is it? The point is that the courts and the police and all the stuff that we pay for with our taxes, that's us trying to make life fair. Yes, we know that life is unfair. We're trying to create a system for dealing with that. And instead, what we're getting is a system that creates the unfairness. We're getting judges who do not apply things like, beyond a reasonable doubt. There's a lot of other basic rights that they're ignoring, basic to achieving justice. And, I heard that 50% of the judges in Texas never even went to law school. Well, I don't know that you have to get through law school and get your past the bar and all that, because law isn't that complicated. Every time a family sitting around a dinner table has a discussion about somebody who murdered somebody or something, they're practicing law. The only difference is their discussion doesn't put a man in jail or something like that. But I'm saying that everybody understands what law is about, because everybody understands what it means, what fairness means, what justice means. And it's not that complicated. I mean, it's as simple as, well, you shouldn't hurt people. I mean, that's oversimplifying, but I think you get my point. And with a little bit of help from, if we had a system where in high schools they actually absolutely they don't teach, because they're not applying it in real life. They're not applying justice and fairness in real life. Why should they bother to try and teach people in school what that means? Because if they taught people what it means, then when they get out in the real world, they'd expect it, right? And they don't want people to expect it. Or as George Carlin said, all they want is obedient workers. They don't want people who can think about what they're told to do and stuff like that. They just want people who do it. I mean, my dad was a conservative. I know all about conservatives. They never admit they're wrong. It's a sign of weakness. But what they want, he said, in the army, what you want is people who just do what you tell them to do. And why do they want that? Because they want to basically fool people into doing bad things, into being evil. That's what it comes down to, people. That's why I say that joining the army is the sign that you are a bad decision maker. You're a poor decision maker. So, I gotta agree with people who say that you can't get a fair shake in courts in this country. This is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. Thanks for listening.